Just type in DZRJ 810 AM on TuneIn Radio, Streama, and Radio Garden. Happy listening! You are watching the multi-awarded Radio Bandido TV on Channel 224 Sky Cable and TV Plus boxes. Simulcast on DZRJ 810 AM. Informing, advising, and entertaining the Filipinos and OFWs around the world. Streaming live on www.facebook.com/DZRJ810am or on YouTube, channel RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
Lahat dahil kasangga mo ang langit.
Watch Reporter's Hour on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and on Tuesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 12 noon.
Serbisyo publiko ba ang hanap mo? Programang tutulong at aalalay sa iyo. Tuwing linggo, Carmen Ignacio, Mark Anthony Ignacio, Miss Teresita Amansek, Malasaki Kapwa. 2 oras ng aksyon, ng tulong, ng puso. Malasaki Kapwa. 1:00 hanggang 3:00 ng hapon. Malasaki Kapwa. Mapapanood at mapakikinggan sa DZRJ 810 AM sa Radyo Bandido TV, TV Plus boxes, Sky Cable Channel 224, Digital Free-to-Air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM at sa YouTube channel
RJAM News.
Malasaki Kapwa. Aksyon, tulong, puso, Malasaki Kapwa. SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. Programang tatalakay sa kapangyarihan ng serbisyo sibil. SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. Programang hihimay sa kapangyarihan ng pamalang lokal. SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. Programang maglalapit sa pamalan at mamamayan. SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. Kikilos ang barangay para sa bayan, edukasyon, kalusugan, trapiko, basura at iba pa. SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. Tatalakay sa mga problemang napapanahon, problemang hahanapan ng solusyon. At ngayon, ang inyong mga lingkod, De Leon Gomez, SOS, Serbisyo, Ora-Mismo, Sigurado. This program is supported by the National Kidney and Transplant Institute, the Philippine Red Cross, Parenting Foundation, and the Metro Manila Council.
Today is Monday. As we begin the work week, we are again reminded of the art of mindfulness. To many, this is a daily reminder, not just on Mondays, but every day, every single day of the week. Mindfulness means we are mindful of tasks we need to perform to accomplish what we have planned to do. Planning is essential to achieve. We no, then we cannot be willy-nilly about this. It is the bahala na attitude that come what may that puts our life in the rather unsuccessful mode. When people assume that life will be better because it is in God's hands, we forget that we also need to do something about it. We need to do good for ourselves and others, and of course, pray incessantly. Today, we honor a man who served in his area of influence in Eastern Samar. He's a governor who later served as a member of the Senate, Secretary General, and now, of course, running for Senate for to become a senator. He's unceasing, he is unwavering, and of course, unstoppable. Like the Red Cross Way, and in SOS, we honor him. I speak, of course, of future Senator Attorney Lutz Barbo. Pero meron munang message si Chief Justice Hilarion Davide Jr. And for you as well. Today is Monday, the 13th of December. As we await with joyful hope Christmas Day, let us take refuge in His assurance. This COVID 19 is not the end of life. It is just like a dark clouds blocking the brightness of the sun. But it can never surpass this light. COVID-19 is just one of life's problems. Like any other problem in life, it may dim the light of our day, but it can never stop the promised brightness of our tomorrow, which our God has prepared for us. COVID is not part of His plan. Enjoy the blessings of another day under the care and protection of our God, of infinite and inexhaustible love, mercy, and compassion. Let us always pray and persevere in prayer that God will never permit us to be separated from Him, and He will reward us with the birth of our Savior, our final victory against COVID-19. Amen. Tamang-tama ito, ang panauhin natin ay isang kaibigan of many seasons, matagal na. So of course, when I met him, he was governor of Eastern Samar and did very well at that time. And since then, ano ko siya, ng chairman ako ng civil service. And I understand that pinanawardee, lingkod bayan. Nung time ko daw, alam mo, matanda na ako, I kind of tend to forget. But welcome, Attorney Lutz Barbo. At I'm happy that he's also running for the Senate dahil tinitingnan ko, tatlo lang ang kandidato for the Senate na from Visayan region. Am I correct? Tatlo lang kayo.
I'm only one sa Region 8. I don't know, sa ibang...
Sa ibang region, meron pa. No? Kasi sa Antique si former Senator Loran Legarda.
Yeah, right.
And there's another one I'm trying to figure out kasi I have it in the list. You know why I'm raising that? Gusto ko sana, by regions, in other words, Mindanao, Visayas, Luzon, and Metro Manila. If bawat isa nun, tig-tatlo, we will already have a very good representation in the Senate. Kaya since you are representing the Visayan region, inuuna na kita na maging ma-interview dito because para sa akin, kailangan marinig, makita yung mga taong wants to run for the Senate. And sa'yo, tamang-tama, you became, ang tawag ba doon, Secretary General of the Senate or was it, yung ba ang term, Secretary General?
Sa House, Secretary General, but in the Senate, it's only Secretary.
Secretary,
Pero yun ang counterpart.
nawala yung General. Pero ang Secretary, malalim kasi Senado eh.
Yes, pero ang counterpart ko parang Cabinet Secretary. That's my
talaga. Well, unang-una, good to know, na-resurrect through Facebook tayo. We have not seen each other, not connected with one another, pero I am sure I followed you nung nandun ka sa Senado. And of course, hindi naman ako politiko, pero I served in President Ramos as civil service, as Secretary of DSWD, and that was when I became cabinet officer also for Region 8. At nakita ko, I saw your place in Eastern Samar. Palaging may construction, parang hindi natatapos ang contract. But anyway, you talk muna about yourself. Unang-una, I want people to know who is Attorney Lutz Barbo. Sinong parents niya, palagi namin tinatanong, ano yung kanyang naging advocacies, saan siya nag-aaral, para we can put you in context in this program. Go ahead, Attorney Lutz.
Well, ma'am, the last time I saw you and we saw each other was at the Ateneo School of Government.
Yes,
I have been teaching at the Ateneo School of Government for
many years.
over a dozen years. For over a dozen years. I think you were the advisor or something, or ako panelist yata ako noon. I was the advisor of the student. So we saw each other at the Ateneo School of Government. That was in Rockwell.
Yes, Rockwell pa.
Bago pa lang ang But anyway, to answer your question, I am thankful that I see you at least kahit sa Zoom man lang. Tinawag niyo ako na sinabihan niyo ako na you are a winner of the Lingkod Bayan Presidential Award. And I have pictures of you and the President while I was receiving the award. And that is the highest award given by the Civil Service Commission pursuant to Republic Act 1317 yata yun, yung Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for public officials and employees. So, nice to see you around. And whenever I see you or whenever I see Secretary Mamita Pardo de Tavera, I see two great Filipinos and charming ladies. Kasi natutulog pa kayo sa governor's residence. Kayong dalawa, pa kayo noon. I was still governor at the time. Now, siguro to answer your question, I am by nature a teacher. I graduated from the Philippine Normal University. I was a teacher in a far, far, far away, God-forsaken place in Samar. And I was riding a horse, and people called me a cowboy teacher because the only transportation at that time was via paddling a canoe, wala pang sasakyan, walang kalsada, or hiking. So I had a horse, and I fitted the horse with a cowboy's paraphernalia. At that time, wala pa ang NPA noon. Kaya nakakapagdala ako I had a Squidman long barrel na rifle, which was, of course, licensed. And I enjoyed being in communion with nature. I love teaching in the hinterlands. 4 years yun. And after that, pumunta naman ako sa Manila, bumalik ako, kumuha ako ng law, and with God's help, in exactly 4 years, I became a lawyer. Pumasa ako kaagad. So, I was a manager of a multinational American company, and I was being groomed, or at least I had the ambition to be the first Filipino vice president of an American multinational company. But ASO intervened. ASO means arrest, search, seizure order. And I was clamped in jail because akala nila member daw ako ng kami nila. I was associated with Joey Salonga.
Yes, yes.
Ikinulong nila ako, and masakit dahil I was newly married. My wife was on the family way, and hindi ko makalimutan, but we won a case because we filed a case at Honolulu in Hawaii. We won that case and we got compensation for that. Pero siguro kahit anong compensation, hindi, sabi nga, hindi makaka-compensate sa pagdurusa.
Yes.
Talagang hirap na hirap ako noon. And that is why siguro kumbaga kung yung moral fiber to do something for good governance, mukhang na-enhance because I do not want to let what happened to me happen to other people.
Yes.
Sabi ko, mukhang kahit mamanalo kayo, kahit mabigyan ka ng pera. Sabi nga ng anak ko, nakakuha ka naman ng pera, nakabili tayo tuloy ng kotse. Oo, mahirap. Now, my parents, my mother was a natural teacher. My father was a classroom teacher. His parents were teachers. My grandparents were teachers. The siblings of my father were teachers and lawyers. And my grandfather was a former small town mayor in our place. Mukhang napasok lang naman ako sa politika because I was appointed by Cory Aquino. Of course, through the recommendation of Nene Pimentel as OIC in 1986.
Eastern Samar. After Cory take over.
Oh, nagtuloy-tuloy na ako after Cory na I won. Hindi naman ako natalo. I did not lose the election for 3 times.
Yeah. So, bali 9 years rin. 9 years.
Yes, a little more than
because you were OIC.
OIC kasi.
Before the elections. So,
yeah.
So, at that time naman, I became secretary 1992 of the SWD. Ano na, Fidel Ramos na.
Yeah, Fidel Ramos. Yeah.
And Mamita and I would travel to Eastern Samar because siya din ang na-assign to cover that region. Kasi at the time, tawag sa inyo, most depressed region because of the infrastructure, talaga naman. But, over time, that is why I believe that governance is key to any development efforts. And like you, I taught also at the Ateneo School of Government, and ang tinuro ko, power ethics and public accountability, which I hope maituro sa lahat ng mga tao na running for public office. Kasi pag rooted sila sa power ethics, magkaka-power sila. But they need to be ethical and they must be committed to good governance. Yeah. So sana kung ito yung maging, kumbaga, ethics nga na hanapin natin sa mga tatakbo. Pero ang crucial na naging naisip ko lang, sana lahat ng tatakbo na senador from a particular region can best represent the region. Kasi even if we don't have a federalist form of government, we can already maximize the capacity. Mas magandang ina-elect natin doon sa lugar na yun, yung mga taga roon, para alam na alam nila yung problema and what changes they want to institute. So I've been saying that gusto ko yung nanggagaling sa region ang ma-elect ng lalo na kapag sa region na yon konti lang naman tumatakbo, tamang-tama lang. If you have 12 senators, you have 3 per region, kumbaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and Metro Manila. So bali masasabi mo, you can have all the 12 representing every region. Yeah. That's my idea of governance. Of course, may mga parties. In fact, ang nawala nga sa atin yung 2-party system like in the America, you have a Republican and you have a Democratic. Parang nawala yung party. Pero ang nakita ko ngayon, I worked with Senator Salonga sa Kilos Bayan. And I was together with Rafi Alunan. At yung paniniwala namin, bago mo magkaroon ka ng Kilos Bayan, kailangan gising bayan. Kailangan gisingin mo ang bayan, di ba?
Yeah, right.
And I think maganda na from you, marinig natin, ano yung gusto ngayong makita sa Senado? Having worked there, of course, as secretary, alam mo na yung workings. Unfortunately, during this pandemic, na stoppel ng konti yung work ng Senado at even Kongreso. Pero ano sa palagay mo, anong future natin dito sa coming elections? What do you think? Are you hopeful?
Well, to a very large extent, yes. But number one, tungkol sa, yung sinasabi ninyo, I agree with the idea of federalism.
Yes.
And that is why siguro i-federalize yung mga regional,
Yes.
grouping. For example, Region 7, kami, Region 8.
Yes.
There was a time that we were up in arms against the notion that Manila is the imperial city of Manila.
Yes.
We were saying Manila is not the Philippines, and the Philippines is not Manila. At the time, I was the Secretary General of the League of Governors, and we were saying this is about time we have some radical, even
Changes.
perhaps revolutionary changes and reforms.
Yes.
For as long as peaceful and democratic. And that is why, as a member of the PDP Laban, our advocacy, and that is ingrained in our constitution and bylaws, is to federalize the country.
Yeah.
We believe in federalizing the Philippines. For example, it should be a federal state of Region 8 so that we do not have to be going to Manila begging for funds because funds should be directly allocated to the different regions, which should be called now the regional state government. That can be done.
Yeah.
And about the two-party system, well, perhaps the notion of a multi-party system was based on, to some extent, the parliamentary system of governance.
Yes. Yes.
And the idea of federalism encompasses also the kind of structure of government.
Yes.
Should it be a presidential, parliamentary, something to that effect? Or should we have the same inefficient, irresponsible, corrupt system of governance? I think it's
Yes.
about time. I really plan to file immediately upon taking my oath of office as a senator, assuming I
Yes.
win. I intend to file 3. In fact, I
Major
make
bills.
3 bills. One of which, of course, is the banning of political turncoatism.
Yes.
And hindi pwede na pagkatapos ng eleksyon, kung sino ang nanalo president, doon na kayo. At saka yung political dynasties, I think it's also about time.
Yeah.
In fact, the Constitution disallows political dynasty because I remember Article 2, Section 26, which says the government shall guarantee equal access to public service and shall prohibit political dynasties. But here, meron lang ko doon, as may be defined by law.
By law. Yun ang enabling law.
Yun ang enabling law.
Stamp everybody. Pero I'd like to know your stand kasi ito kagad ng tinatanong. What your stand on job security, universal healthcare, poverty eradication and education? Kasi para sa akin ito yung bali 4 na talagang 4-point program na we should stand on what they want to change. But at the same time, it depends kasi kung sino mga mananalo eh. Kasi it will be katulad ng, ang tawag ko nga dito, same. Eh, kailangan somehow make changes. You still need the more seasoned people. Like I must say, if it were not for also Senator Richard Gordon, eh hindi naman lalabas yung kaso ng Parmali. Para sa akin, may mga ganung, he was the one as Blue Ribbon Committee, eh nakapagsabi ng what people may not have heard or will never hear unless you have somebody bold enough to bring that to bear. So tama yung sabi naman, tinatanong like you've been there, you've seen how the Senate works and how it can work better. This is what I see. Now, moving on, like for instance, alam mo, depressed ang ang Region 8, not because it is poor. It is actually rich in resources, but it's access that is missing. Kung kulang ang infrastructure, kulang ano, it cannot stand on its own like even Davao. Ang laki-laki ng Davao, pero if, for instance, for Davao to flourish, you've got to have the leaders there for so many years. I feel it defeats the purpose of democracy. Kasi in democracy, there are many voices dapat. Kaya pag ako tinatanong, sabi ko, kung naniniwala tayo sa democracy, dapat we must respect voices. Sino yung mga pakinggan natin yung mga magagaling and bring out the best in our country. Yung mga magagaling should be running for office. Pero hindi naman kahit na sino lang tumakbo sa office, and kasi I guess the dynastic has to change in the context of basta magagaling, you don't ask for dynastic issue. Hindi mo tinatanong yun. Iniisip mo, sino yung mga magagaling? That's what I see. Pero now, I saw the development also in Eastern Samar. Marami na. And of course, when you have a very powerful personality na nag-i-interview sa TV na taga-Eastern Samar, I will not mention his name, but because he's a byword, no? Si Boy Abunda, I will now mention. Pero sabi ko, buti wala nagko-convince kay Boy Abunda to run for political office because runaway siya siguro sa Region 8. So to go back, no? What did you find? Siguro I will ask naman your experiences as secretary in the Senate. Ano yung nakita mo? Of course, it was hit by the pandemic. Pero ano yung the good side of the Senate and then the downside of the Senate?
Okay. Now, the good side is that senators do not or should not confine themselves to lawmaking.
Yes.
Or part of the job of the Senate or senators, and that means the congressmen also, is to uphold the idea of checks and balances.
Yes.
When one of the big departments gets to be abusive, somebody should check it. In the case, for example, of the president, I think the president is getting drunk with power. I think he was drunk with power. I'm sorry to say this, but I was the campaign manager of the president in 2016 in my province.
Yes.
Because I was at the time, and up to now, I'm still the vice chairman of PDP Laban, and I think the president has become a big disappointment. And I agree with Senator Dick Gordon, who says that he's the only president that Filipinos cannot really respect. When, for example, you deny the senators access to certain data or evidence, that in itself is a derogation of the principle of checks and balances. When the president says, for example, no, because I will not allow them to be investigated. Part of the job of the Senate is what you call investigation in aid of legislation. I think that is wrong. In fact, the president should be helping the Senate and say, well, I am anti-corruption. I am against corruption, so I will help you find out who is really making money out of this. But here is one case where the president himself does not want people to divulge what they know about corruption. I'm sad about it. And if I were a member of the Senate, I would insist, no, we have the right. The Senate has the right to check and find out the truth, what all this is, what this is all about, because we are supposed to be guardians of the funds of Juan de la Cruz. The taxpayers' money are involved here. So the senator's job is to fiscalize, to see to it that he will stand up, whatever happens, for as long as it is within the realm of propriety and the procedure of the Senate, to stand up and say, well, something is wrong somewhere, so let's check and find out. We cannot go on with things like this. We are supposed to change and reform the whole corrupt, irresponsible, inefficient system of politics and governance.
I cannot help but recall na I had a short stint as chairman of the Mount Pinatubo Commission in 1993 to 95, 2 years. And I had a budget of 10 billion pesos para for the development of the area na affected by Mount Pinatubo. And I realized that accountability is very, very important in carrying out, operationalizing. Kasi it's not enough that you have the funds. You must ensure it's used properly.
Correct.
And I felt that every Wednesday, I would board a helicopter to go for a meeting, na interagency meeting, in at Clark, because that was where the office was. And I was so good. I was so happy that I had no problems with the Commission on Audit. The 10 billion was all accounted for. And ang feeling ko, that is the accountability we should expect from all secretaries, from all departments who hold the coffers in government. But ang problem natin is that, sa akin, ang palagay ko, nakalimutan natin that there are people who should be career people who should shepherd precisely. You can have a political secretary, but your undersecretaries must be career people who knows the job, and long after the secretaries will leave, because there will be changes in political system, and they will continue to shepherd the programs and services, and of course the funding support. Parang yun ang nakita kong weakness, because we have to assess. We're not like ako, I'm not a politician myself, pero naniniwala ako na politics and development must go hand in hand. It must be good politics to ensure the development of an area. Like for instance, in your case, in Region 8, para sa akin, ano-anong areas ang dapat Like for instance, there is a province there, but it's really all one family. That's really from mayors to I think congressman to I think parang ganyan. But I think it's the will of the people that must be changed. Kasi I'm feeling that that's the will of the people. They're voting for them. Pero how do we change the mindset? And I think this is where governance has to come in. And you as a faculty member also from Ateneo must instill in the region and in your province as well the notion of good governance. Yun ang nakikita ko na you will play a very important role in the coming Senate. And by the way, I remember the other one besides, si Alex Lacson is from Negros. Negros. Tatlo lang kayo. From kaya nga sabi ko, yung tatlo na ito, from different persuasions, pero believe ako na it's time we have people who will really come from the region and really support national development through regional development also.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's about time we really make regional governments or provinces, in fact, the local government units, vibrant and progressive and productive and well-developed.
Yes.
Because if that happens, you really develop not only the periphery, but the central. Yes. Metro Manila becomes vibrant and productive if the surrounding areas, the local government units are themselves vibrant and prosperous and well-developed.
And they don't have to come to Manila.
Correct.
To make things happen. Because things are happening. And I think it's already being that through tourism. Maraming areas ay talagang binibisita na because of tourists. And I think tourism, the way Chairman Gordon developed that also in WOW Philippines, it must be WOW Region 8. It can be WOW Region 7. Marami tayong WOW areas that can really be, from the standpoint of economy, talagang yayaman tayo. because the people who will be coming will spend the money that they have and be willing. Kaya lang ang problem is that, again, as you said, crime also, criminality, drug, yung program ni Presidente na drug abuse, criminality, and of course, corruption. Para sa akin, corruption, di ba? Criminality and corruption, yung three areas na yon, unfinished business. The reason I say it's unfinished business, there is so much more to be done to be able to include. We will be proud that in the Transparency International, mataas na ang rating ng Philippines because we have done what we should have done, to my mind. So anong future, I guess, I was excited to invite you because sabi ko nga, you've been governor early on kasi bata ka pa noon, and then now you're tamang-tama, you're going to the Senate. Parang what we need are people who will bring to bear what is good for the country, and holistic. Hindi lang tinitingnan yung parochial na anong kailangan ng Eastern Samar. Of course, you need that. Pero already think of potential for federalism. Kasi like in Malaysia, they don't have many states. They just have a few states, but really has progressed tremendously. It's smaller in population, pero hindi factor ang big population. Look at China. It's such a big population, but it really improved themselves. Kaya lang, binigyan tayo ng COVID. Kasalanan nila. But they continued, because I remember there were women who would attend conference in Manila, yung regional conference on women. They were so excited to go to Harrison Plaza to buy things for the women. And sabi ko, kawawa naman itong mga taga-China na to. They look so poor. Parang ang yaman ng Pilipinas. And when we went to China, what was amazing was that yung hotels, you don't even lock the doors. At the time, Peking Hotel. Because people were honest and people were, it was really, that was about 1976 when we were not yet, we had no relationship with China, but Imelda went there, Imelda Marcos went there to establish that relations. Kaya sabi ko, our problem with China need not be a problem if we know how to solve the problem. Para sa akin, yun ang tinitingnan ko. So future, no? Kasi ang feeling ko, you're running for the Senate for a purpose. And what is, ang tingin doon, it's a purpose-driven life also. Anong purpose that you want to see when you become a senator? And finally, reach the point in your career where you will be in the highest lawmaking body of the country.
Well, I'd love to see myself and of course the members of the Senate doing something for this country. It's not, to me, it's not an egoistic trip or a trip of egoism. But to me, it's something like giving meaning to your own life and saying that, well, I have some kind of a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And there are many things to change. I will be repetitive about this, but I think we need to federalize the country.
Yeah.
And I am disappointed that the president, while he created the consultative committee to review the 1987 Constitution, and the committee members composed the chairman. I think the chairman was former Chief Justice Renato Puno, and
Yes.
the vice chair was Nene Pimentel. And I think they came out with a very good draft a constitution for the Philippines, and that was a Federal Republic of the Philippines Constitution.
Yes.
And I used to lecture that in some universities because I happen to be president of two universities, the Philippine Normal University and Taguig City University. And I was invited to some gatherings where I used the constitution drafted by the committee, saying that this is a far cry, much better than our present constitution, because this will federalize
Yes.
the government that we have. And I think this is the road to development. But it was scuttled at the House of Representatives. They did not approve of it, and they did not fund it for information purposes because of some political motives. Some did not want to be, and I remember there was a provision about anti-dynasty, political dynasty, and there were, or there are, members of the House of Representatives who do not want to dismantle political dynasties. So that's what happened. And perhaps one feature that was good was a vote for the president is also a vote for the vice president, vice versa.
Yes.
A vote for the vice president is also a vote for the president. And there were several regions, and to me, all regions were properly represented, and that is good development. So,
Well,
sayang,
another dimension is the passage of the Mandanas Law.
Uh-huh.
The Mandanas Law will really empower the local governments to already have the necessary funds and not wait for national government to give them the largesse that is necessary to deliver the services.
Correct.
But that is where you need to elect good governors, good mayors who will use the funds properly. And this is where I believe there should also go through an educational process, like maybe the National College of Public Administrator, katulad ni Vilma Santos, nag-aral. Si Yorme, nag-aral. Kasi pag nakapag-aral sila, they will do it right. Parang it adds to their bearing na they know what to do. Sa akin. Education is to me the greatest feat that can happen to all of the candidates. Whether, kasi noon nagkaroon din kami ng local LCE, local chief executive seminar ng civil service, so that they will know how to appoint people. Kasi ang tendency, pag hindi nila tao, hindi nagboto sa kanila, i-freeze nila. Which did not happen with our case in Parañaque with the Mayor Olivares, who later became Metro Manila Council chair. No? Ang nakita ko, he did not remove all of the people from the voted the other party, but checked on them first to see whether they will continue to perform based on his expectation. And I think that's good. You wait until you see first whether they're good performers before you ease them out. Correct. May mga ganun dapat matuto. But going back to the idea of really rationalizing the Senate in the sense of representational, I can see that already in Mindanao and Visayas. But we still need to see that in Manila and Luzon, because talagang marami are coming from Luzon. But I think the formation of groups that will bring out the ideas of how best to govern, makatutulong. And I think if we can do that and ask them what they intend to do with job security, kasi kung na-expect natin large faculty, large factories, facilities, you need pa the power, you need pa all of these things that can happen. Even if you want, I remember visiting Basay in Leyte, no? Southern Leyte, di ba? Where is Basay?
Basay, that is in Samar, Western Samar.
Samar, yes. And then Basay, I remember, meron silang state college doon that was producing soy sauce made from root crop, and it was the best. Talo ang Kikoman. Unfortunately, sabi ko nga, ang dapat doon, nag-progress, naging business na. na nanggagaling na parang product na ng base, soy sauce or something like that. And it can become competitive. It could have been the harbinger of employment for the people there. Kasi unless you have a product or unless you can develop something that will stand the notice of people, para sa akin very important yun sa mga state colleges and universities. And I'm privileged to have been asked by President Patricia Dicuanan to be the chair in the search for private sector representatives in all the state colleges and universities. Ang gusto ko makita doon yung mga private sector talagang to be represented in the state colleges and universities, to bring business in the university, to bring in the mindset of the schools that they should be in business, meaning to say improve the productivity of the people. I might be talking already a lot, but I have seen the poverty of the area. It's not that they are not poor, that they are poor. It is just that nobody is harnessing their talents so that they can be better off than what they were before.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
So that is the hope that we have, Senator. I'm already calling you Senator. Kasi para sa akin, the future is also in your hands. What you want to do with it, no? And I think I remember that what Father Dave Concepcion of the Pope Pius Center, Pius Chapel there, ang sabi niya, our today must be better than yesterday, and then of course we must face the future, that our future must be better than today. Parang very clear na if we cannot be better, we will forever be in a static situation, which we don't want to happen.
Yeah.
And I think maganda na yung nangyari sa Eastern Samar from the time that you were there. And ang mga roads, maganda na. Maraming improvements, but to my mind, it is not enough. I think if we say it's not enough, more can be done. Kasi if we think, tama na, you won't do anything, di ba? So, anong hope mo for the future? Senator, I'll call you na Senator.
Well, two things. Number one, when you mentioned schools and education,
Yes.
I have always believed that education is the great
Key.
equalizer.
Yes.
And
Agree.
that is why there is a need for educating our people and their leaders. When we say the land is poor or the people are poor, it's not really the kind of poverty that we are not in agreement. I think it's the poor kind of leadership, poor leadership that perhaps must be harnessed into changing into a very effective leadership. Every now and then, after election, I am asked to lecture at the UP College of Public Administration.
Yeah, NCPAG, yeah.
Yeah, doon sa mga bagong elected officials, and I lecture them. We lecture on the local government code, of which I was humbly part. Isinasama ako palagi ni NFM Intel noon.
Yes.
Technical working group, and na alam ko, I know how to utilize the local government code to develop a province, a city, a municipality, barangay, 16, for example, Article or 16, the General Welfare Clause would be very handy. And that is why I would like to represent the local government units when I am in the Senate, because I worked with local government units, and I am familiar with the provisions of the local government code, and we to utilize that to develop the countryside. So it's about time we make use of some good laws that are favorable to the development of a country or a province or a city or a municipality.
From Isabel Austria of Antipolo, kumusta po ang criminality rate sa Visayas? Ano po ang plano ninyo sa problem ng bansa on rebel groups assuming manalo kayo sa Senado? Good question. Thank you, Isabel, for that question.
Yung criminality, merong mga dahilan yan. I would not want to justify that. In fact, yung sinasabi nila noon na the criminality of the leftist, one of the solutions that was proffered by then President Ramos was to make the Communist Party of the Philippines a legal party. Meaning, simply because you are a member of the Communist Party,
that doesn't mean
does not justify your going to jail or being picked up and detained. In fact, you can file your certificate of candidacy using your party as this Communist Party of the Philippines. But of course, you will have to renounce the use of violence and destruction of property. You will have to do it in a democratic manner because in many countries, the Communist Party is legal.
Yes.
And they can participate in the national discourse. And many of them are even members of the legislative bodies of those countries. Now, about poverty being part and parcel of some criminal activities, but of course that cannot be justified simply because you are poor. You cannot tell the court and tell people, you're doing this because you're poor. That's wrong rationale. Perhaps the government, they can come in. For example, when the president says, okay, military and police, I order you, I give you the directive, shoot and kill.
Yeah.
Kill. Now, perhaps we should look into why these people are taking drugs or doing some monkey business. I think it's part perhaps of the SWD to look into that and say, there must be some underlying reasons for doing that. Simply because you are doing this or you are doing that, the human life is snuffed out. That I think is wrong, because it's only God that can get away your life, the life in you. So perhaps there should be some kind of humane approach to solving the problem. For example, when the International Criminal Court says, well, somebody is guilty of genocide, some people are, some people are guilty of killing a number of people with impunity. There are two sides of that. Some people say, well, why does the International Court of the International Criminal Court come to the Philippines when we have our own laws? But since we are a party to some international law,
conventions,
so things like this must be looked into. And I since I am a human rights lawyer, I really object just being picked up and detained, and ultimately perhaps your life is taken out of you, or it is snuffed out of you. Something is wrong with that mentality. Uh, I vehemently disagree with that. And there are criminals who are in quote anti and some in barong Tagalog. And I think they should be looked into. And they are the bigger criminals.
Yes.
And they get away so much from the taxpayers' fund.
Yes.
And therefore, Juan de la Cruz is getting to be cynical and pessimistic, and he's losing faith and
Yes.
confidence in government because I think the government is unresponsive. In fact, Chair Cora Alma de Leon, one of the reasons why I succeeded in asking the members of the New People's Army to come to the folds of the law was
Yes.
to tell them. So I was telling them, I agree with you. You are not surrenderers. You are not rebel returners. You just come to the folds of the law. Fight for what you think is right. Ano ba ang pinaglalaban nyo? Corruption? Ayaw nyo ng corruption? The government too far away from the people?
Yeah.
Mga inefficient system of governance? Yung services nawawala? Fight for those. Pero wag lang yung violent, yung armado. Because I'm also fighting for that cause. That's why I'm here. Sabi ko, I'm going to help you. And they came to the folds of the law. And President Ramos and si Rafi Alonan, they were really very happy seeing and looking at former armed rebels coming back to the folds of the law. But si Heidi Yurak
Yes.
went to see me
Yes.
and saying na magandang kwan ito. And by the way, I was asked to go on a very, very top secret mission to trick in the land. Because may kababayan ako doon na nandun, nag-away-away sila ng Joma at pinapuntahan sa akin. I talked with him. I asked him to come back to the Philippines and see. I told him, see for yourselves what's happening to this country.
Malalim na. Malalim na. Anyway, we don't
yeah.
have much time. I have 2 more minutes with you. So, gusto ko lang final words mo, Senator Lutz Barbo, because para sa akin, you deserve to be there to also represent the Visayan region. Para sa akin, napaka-importante na we move to the area na hindi lahat mga taga-Manila, hindi lahat yung kailangan we must have adequate representation. So, your final words.
Well, thank you, Ma'am Cora. And I will be repetitive about this. Thank you for giving me the award, the highest award given by the Civil Service Commission. Now, perhaps it's about time we give meaning to that maxim that we deserve the government that we have. We want to be prosperous. We want to have good leaders. Then let's do something to realize it. We cannot simply fold our hands, do nothing, keep quiet, sit down, sleep on our rights, hoping that the problems will solve themselves without our intervention. We have got to fight. The things in life are not really for free. We have got to work for it. We have to fight for it, sometimes even die for it. Just like our forefathers, our forebears did, to have a respectable society and respectable, citizenship and the country we can all be proud of in the community of nations.
Great.
Thank you.
I think to say thank you, this poem is for you. He is an Indian poet, Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote, "Where mind is without fear and head held high, where the world has not been broken to fragments by narrow domestic walls, where tireless strivings stretch their arms toward perfection, where the mind is led forward to thee, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake." Kailangan gisingin talaga natin ang ating bayan. Isingin natin. And I think when that comes, we can say, at last, we can say, we have brought hope to our countrymen. Maraming salamat, Governor
Beautiful.
Barbo,
Thank you.
and hope to see you in your successful engagement in the political arena. Congratulations, and looking forward to meeting up with you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests are not necessarily those of the station.